What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Party Chat, the other side of games, where we hang out with people who enjoy video games, work on video games, or just the video games are a thing, but we don't talk about them. We talk about life, and we just hang out because there are cool people. And today we are joined by Brendan Groom. So if you missed his episode of Game Chat, we implore you, please go listen to it. But if you hate that crap, and you hate Game Chat, and you don't want to be a part of it, then stick around because Brendan's an awesome person, and we're happy to have him here. But Brendan, for those who don't know you, who are you?
So, first of all, thank you again for having me on the show. I'm much appreciated being on, hanging out with you guys and talking about all the lovely things we've been talking about. I won't spoil those who haven't listened to Game Chat yet. You should go listen to Game Chat and listen to our conversation there. But you can find, I'm Brendan Groom. I'm the host of the Pass the Controller podcast and the editor for Pass the Controller. You can check out all of our stuff at passthecontroller.io, where we have our weekly podcast, different reviews and editorials that I write up, as well as other, silly things from time to time on YouTube and on Twitch. And that's kind of the quick elevator pitch of what we do over there at Pass the Controller.
Awesome. And if you're this far into the season of Party Chat, you already know who Nate and Josh are, but also welcome, friends. I'm glad you can be part of this episode. Thank you so much to our patrons, and you can be one too. Head over to patreon.com/Borderline Entertainment, support the show. But thank you to those who are supporting us for making Party Chat a thing and requesting this. So we do have one question for you from our patrons, Brendan, and this is probably going to be a difficult one. Because we always make sure to ask the community, if you have questions for our guests.
That's what they said. It was weird. I don't know who it came from. It's just...
Honestly, at this point, I want to change it. But no, it's more specific. So, Brendan, happy to have you on the show. My question for you is, what is your favorite indie game that you recommend people try if they're new to indie games?
That's okay. This is a question directly from you or from...
No, this is from our patrons, one of our patrons to you.
To like me specifically?
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of crazy. Okay. Ooh. All right. This is tough. This is just, if I have to. This is not easy because if somebody ever asks me, like, "Hey, I like these types of games. Can you recommend a good indie?" I feel like I could do that very confidently. Maybe throw a handful out there that would appeal to you. If I had to just blanket say one indie, that's really tough. I think that a really easy answer in this scenario would be, if you haven't played Shovel Knight, I think that is a must play. To me, that is like a pillar of indie gaming at this point, where it's like, if you were going to make, a monument to the best indie games of all time, or the most impactful or most important, I feel like Shovel Knight would be on that statue. That would be a part of that monument. For something a little bit more out there, I would say, Sayonara Wild Hearts is a very special game to me. It has very, very, very good music. It has a delicious art style. I'm all about that game. I think it's very different, and I think the gameplay in that is so not difficult that it could appeal to a wide base of people. So I would throw those out there for, you never played Shovel Knight and you like platforming games at all. You got to play Shovel Knight. You got to check it out. If you want something a little bit more out there, something different, something that's probably not on your radar, Sayonara Wild Hearts, put my stamp on that. It's one of my favorite games.
Dude, Sayonara Wild Hearts, like that soundtrack, I still listen to it very regularly. It's so good. It's so good.
It's so good. The game is fantastic.
Yeah.
That game somehow made me cry when I finished it. I don't know how, but it did.
Really?
That's awesome. That's so cool.
Yes.
I love it.
I didn't cry, but I do remember... I was laying in bed, just like, that was like when I played it, just like played it at night before I went to bed, and had my headphones in, because that's like, I feel the way to play is to play with headphones, just because the music is just, man, you use delicious, and that's like the best adjective for that game.
Yeah, it's so good. Everything about that game is so good. It might be, I would argue, that is the best on rails game I've ever played in my life.
Yeah. I easily, like, when I finished it, felt like that's a masterpiece. Like that's a 10 out of 10 experience for me. I've not played it on the Switch, so I played it on my phone via Apple Arcade. But I feel like the experience is going to be like top tier no matter where you go. So dynamite suggestions. All right, it's time for the topic of the show, where each of us, we just kind of bring something to the table we want to talk about. But with our tight time frame, in which, by the way, Brendan, you have an open invitation. If you ever want to come back, if you want to just hang out, record an episode, party chat, do it.
I'd love to. Yeah.
Send one of us a message. Say, I am holding Agumon hostage until we record this episode of party chat.
That little guy.
I was going to want to talk about this fish documentary, but I feel like it's way too existential for a 15-minute show. So at some point we have to talk about Seaspiracy, but all I want to say is wow.
Seaward?
No, not Seaward Spiracy, like
conspiracy about the Seaward?
SEA Seaspiracy.
Oh.
Yeah. I learned so much about the fishing industry and how everyone is like, don't use plastic straws. They're bad for the environment and they're killing the ocean. And then come to find out, like, while that is, like, partially true, that is not even close to the biggest issue for our oceans and everything. It's commercial and overfishing, basically. But, like I said, that it is such a deep topic because I remember, like, my wife and I watched it, like, a few weeks ago, and we just kind of sat there, like, are we not eating fish anymore? Because, like, I don't want to support, like, those bad people. But anyways, so I will say I will eat fish if I know that it's locally caught in a sustainable way and it does not support the
that's good to know.
Raking of the bottom of the ocean. But yeah,
I'll have to have a party channel on that because I am fascinated to hear more about that.
dude, it's I'm glad that I tantalized you because the more people that I can talk to about it, and I'm no offense to people who are like vegan and vegetarian or what is it, pescatarian or whatever.
Pescatarian?
Yeah, pescatarian if you're like just fish and you don't eat the rest of the meats. But woof, man, that definitely swayed me. And I've seen what's the other ones like? It's not Food Wars. That's a dirty anime. But that one. Brennan, do you have a topic that you'd like to bring for the show?
Yeah, so I was kind of throwing around a lot of things in my head, and maybe this is a little too out there, but I'm going to throw it out there. So what is everyone's like, or what is one of everyone's like comfort food games? And bonus, if you want to describe or relate that to like what would the version of that game be as an actual comfort food that you eat?
Wow.
That's a great question.
I love that.
Oh man.
I've got mine. If
I've got mine.
I've got my
for it,
game,
Nate.
but I don't have the food.
Go for it, Nate.
Me go?
Yeah.
Honestly, it's Super Mario World.
Okay.
The muscle memory with that game is just very like play through it, all the secret exits, everything like that. That is kind of my go-to game where I'm stressed, when I need to kind of like, I feel like my brain is all over the place always, but sometimes I need like a very simple process while I'm like processing the world. And that is a really good game to do that. And I would compare that to Pad Thai because you can't go wrong with Pad Thai. It always is fantastic. And it's just, I always know what I'm getting with Pad Thai and I always know what I'm getting with Super Mario World. And those two are hand in hand. And I think I might do both of those after this.
Love that.
AC, do you want to go or you?
Oh yeah, sorry, I was.
No, you're totally fine. I just didn't want to cut you off.
No, so mine is GTA 5. Actually, no, it's GTA Online.
Okay.
And which is ironic, a weird spinoff I want to throw on it if I can, Brendan. It's your topic, but like, is your comfort food game in your top 10 favorite games of all time? Because as I think about GTA Online, like GTA 5 being my comfort food game, it's not in my top 10 favorite games of all time. So I just thought that was a weird like connection, but it's one of those games where I 100% can check out. I don't have to focus whatsoever. Like, it's not like mindlessly grinding in like a Destiny or an Avengers where like, even though it is mindless, like you still have to kind of pay attention if you're grinding. For me, like if I was playing a platformer like Super Mario or anything else, like I'd be a little too focused, even though I also, Nate, like I've got that muscle memory, like I'd still like want to do well. And I was gonna say Minecraft, but I always start playing Minecraft as like a chill, I just want to veg out type of experience, but then I always end up trying to do something, like trying to find whatever or build whatever. And truthfully the only game where I can just play for hours and unplug, and I could stop playing and really not tell you exactly what I did during that time would be GTA Online. And I think it's just the sheer, like, 1 minute I could be trying to ramp into the military base, trying to steal a helicopter, or like if I'm playing on PC, I'm just throwing in tons of mods to just be ridiculous, playing as like the Ivysaur, just like punching people, or like there's just so much to do in that game, and none of it matters. Like, it's all super ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I don't mean this in the way that I think that this food doesn't matter to me. But I would liken it to pizza, because pizza is my favorite food. And I could, no matter what kind it is, no matter where it's from, but especially if it's Jets, looking for that sponsorship, because Jets is the way to go if you love your Detroit style pizza. It's the best pizza around. But I could eat pizza every day. I could eat pizza for every meal. I do not get sick of it, because there's so many types of variations. And GTA is one of those things where I don't ever get tired of it, because I don't know, it's just fun, and there's no pressure around it whatsoever. There's no competition, no restraints. I'm just playing to play, and that's my comfort food game.
Love that.
Super cool.
To kind of go off what you said about I don't think comfort food games necessarily need to be in your top 10, because I mean, like, if you were to think about like comfort food movies or TV shows, like, there are some movies that I would throw on or watch if I saw it was on or something, and it doesn't necessarily need to be like a top 10 movie for me, but it could just be something that, like, it's great to be on in the background, or I love, having it on for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I have the hardest time ranking things because, like, I'm just such a passionate person. Like, when I love something, I truly love it. Like, I think because even though, like, I have comfort food movies, but even those movies, because I care about them, like, I know they're bad movies, but they're still up there in my upper echelon of like top 10. Like Hot Rod. I love Hot Rod. I think Hot Rod's a phenomenal movie. Is it Return of the King? Is it like some profound movie? Is it like a Gran Torino? No, it is not. But it's still up. I don't know. It's really hard. So, like, when you said comfort food game, I immediately thought of Final Fantasy X. It's one of my favorite games of all time. I distinctly remember the first time I saw the commercial for Final Fantasy X, and like the voice acting, how everything looked, it just blew me away. And I was like, I could play this? Like, this is like, oh my God, it was incredible. I have so many like good memories of that game. For me as a kid, when I got it, it came in like a hard part of my life. So it was a nice escape. And sometimes it still is. It is one of those games where I like, my fiance is playing through it. There's a time where she didn't want to grind. I'm like, oh, I'll do that for you. I will grind for hours, like not progressing the story at all, just playing with these characters, rotating them all out, like expanding the sphere. Like, I know I know where to go on the sphere grid. I have the same paths I play for each character to get. It's just one of those games I know inside and out, and it just makes me feel safe, which may sound silly if you don't know what that feeling's like. You know what I mean? For food wise, like, I don't know what to like. I would just say a home cooked meal, which I know is kind of a cop out because it's not anything specific, but like,
Oh, definitely not.
but you know that feeling you get when you come home and your significant other or your parent has just like made something for you, like, hey, I knew you had a hard day, or I knew it was rough, so I did this for you. That's the feeling I get when I play Final Fantasy X. It's just like, it's warm, it's comforting. You know you're going to enjoy whatever you're doing. So I hope that answers the question.
No, absolutely.
That hits. I like that.
That's great.
Yeah.
For me, I don't know. There's a lot. There's like two different, I guess like three different avenues of this for me. It's either I could go to something like Super Mario Bros. 3 that's very familiar. Grew up on that game. I love that game. One of my favorite games of all time. Know that game front and back. So I could kind of just, like Nate said, turn off my brain, kind of run through that and love every second of it and not have to think too much about what's going on. Or, I also kind of like, sometimes for me, a comfort game is like, I'm going to throw on Fortnite or Overwatch and I'm just going to play and like, not communicate with people. I'm just kind of hopping in, playing, having fun. And like, I love the game so much. It's relaxing to me to be in that like kind of high energy game without like having to to invest too much into it. So I like that a lot. And then I guess the other avenue would be like something that's, you know, by design meant to be cozy and relaxing, which is like for me right now, Animal Crossing New Horizons. So like that's just, you know, I don't think I need to explain why that is.
That
what it
is comfort food.
Exactly.
So there's that, and I guess to kind of sum it up and put it into food perspective, like my favorite food, my favorite genre of food, I guess, is like I love Mexican food so much. So like, you know, give me a nice burrito, you know, give me some guacamole, give me some salsa, give me some queso dip. I get, you know, you get a little bit of everything, you get all the fixins. That to me is like the culmination of I'm in a comfort mood zone. I want to have my mix of medley of food right here, and then I can, you know, have a medley of these games that'll kind of all hit the right spot if I need them to. That's where I'm at.
I love it. I love it.
Now I really
Now
want some Mexican food.
street
Yeah.
corn.
I know. I had a burrito yesterday, and now I'm already thinking, do I have Mexican food again today? Because I might.
I say
There's a
yes.
local place. I had the best wet burrito I've ever had in my entire life, and now I'm like craving that son of a gun.
I hate the phrase wet burrito. I know what it
I know.
means, and I like
Wait,
them.
I don't know what it means. What is a wet burrito?
It's just like you get a long burrito and it's just like it's covered in sauce versus like one that
it's
you
just
would have in your
smothered
hand.
and covered in sauce
Yeah. So it's like a knife
on
and
the
fork
burrito,
burrito.
or like in the burrito.
On it.
on the burrito.
So like
Oh.
you have to do like knife and fork like on a plate versus like
Yeah.
a
You don't
Chipotle
eat it
style
with your
when you
hands.
hold it. Yeah.
Oh, I love a knife and fork burrito. I didn't know it was called a wet burrito though.
Yeah.
That I'm gonna get a wet burrito after this.
I didn't know it was called a wet burrito either.
And then and then you've
it
got
could
like
be
your,
a up here thing. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I mean it might be like a Midwestern thing. Like I know wet burritos can like border on enchiladas depending on the type of sauce and the stuff inside.
It's like an enchilada, but and if you get enchiladas, you get like 4 or 5 enchiladas, and like, oh, this is the meal. But if you get like a wet burrito, it's like all of those enchiladas smashed into one. And it's huge and it's covered in sauce.
And the ingredients inside are typically different. Like I feel like enchiladas are usually just like meat and cheese, sometimes beans, but like you're still getting almost everything that you would have like inside like a Chipotle burrito, but then it's just like covered in whatever. I like wet burritos.
There's a restaurant a mile away that has wet burritos, so I'm gonna order one.
Get them wet. I know we only have like a few minutes, but I didn't know, Nate or Josh, if you want to jump into your topic of the show a little bit, because I'm interested in both of those like real hard.
I will just real quick, because I will say it every single day until the world ends and then has to start anew. I want there to be a Sailor Moon game that is in the style of Persona. I think it would do so well. Instead of going into people's houses, you go into the Negaverse, depending on what season you're in. That is all I want. I want to be able to have all of those characters. We haven't had a good Sailor Moon game ever. And
there was a fighting game. I'm like,
the fighting game was
Super Nintendo.
Okay, I take it back. The fighting game was good, and then there's the one that they like fan translated into English that I played that was also good.
Oh, I didn't play that
was like
one.
top down from forever ago. But we have not had like a very new, very good game.
Yeah.
I feel like the series that's on Hulu, and now that they've released 2 movies back to back in Japan to continue that series. That show is still going on. That world is still going on. I demand it. That's all I want in my life, is to be able to like have the ability to control Sailor Jupiter and then also Sailor Uranus. That's all I want in my life.
Nate, as a major Sailor Moon fan, do you have a preference for the dub? Like, do you like the new Viz Media dub, or do you like the old Deke dub?
Yes and yes. It depends. So I have so much nostalgia for the original one that like ran on Toonami, and like the I keep seeing on TikTok they have like the songs that are playing when she's like battling Queen Beryl or battling the Snow Queen in the one movie, and it's just really cool to like have that kind of nostalgia as like a kid, where like that was Serena and Darian and like all their friends. But the new one is really good too. I never read the manga, and so to be able to like have a little bit something that's a little bit more true and less filler episodes, that's cool to see. It depends on my mood, because sometimes I'll go back and watch like the old school ones.
Where?
They're on Hulu.
Like with the old like Serena and not Usagi?
Yeah,
Okay.
the
Well, then
original
I'll
one.
have to go watch this because I was trying to I didn't watch a ton of Sailor Moon. It was like the one that came on before Dragon Ball Z, so like I watched it. But my sisters were obsessed with it, and so like I started to really get into it like towards the end. And of course, I had a major crush on Sailor Jupiter and Sailor Mars. Got to throw that one in there too. But I tried to, like, when I saw it first come to Hulu, I tried watching it, and they're like, Usagi. I was like, whoa, what? It's Serena. What are you doing? So, like, I watched Sailor Moon. I did watch Sailor Moon either R or S, but I had to watch it subbed because I just couldn't do the English voices because it wasn't Serena. It wasn't the right one.
If you want to go down a rabbit hole, the live action Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon that ran for like 48 episodes and then a very special long episode. I went down that rabbit hole in high school. It is a mess of it's fantastic. It's like watching Power Rangers, but they're Sailor Moon, and when they transform, they have these like wigs, and it's great, and I recommend it. And they just twirl and spin around, and it is a nightmare, and it is the best thing I've ever seen.
I'm gonna transition us into the closing, but like I said, Brandon, we absolutely have to have you back because I just want to. That's what I love about Party Chat and just what it's been is the free form. We're just hanging out, but I now want to talk about the new Powerpuff Girls live action that they just announced for the CW. But that's just gonna have to wait for another time. But where can people find you? What do you have going on, Brandon, that you want people to check out?
Everyone can find me on Twitter. I mean, you can find me anywhere on social media, but Twitter again is like where I think more of the people that care about what we're talking about here and on Game Chat would find enjoyment from me is on Twitter at BEGROOM, Begroom. If you go to my Instagram, you're gonna just mostly see pictures of my cat and maybe
it's never
food.
a bad thing. Never a bad
Yeah,
thing.
never a bad thing. So if you do like cats, you'll find some fun there too. But you can find me there. You can find Pass the Controller at www.passthecontroller.io or at Pass Controller across social media. And the main thing again is just the weekly podcast. That's where you can find our most up-to-date conversations and topics and stuff that we're putting out. We'll always announce other things we have going on those shows when they're relevant. I have a few other things in the works that I don't know if you want to follow me on social media, you can find out about them when they are closer to being a
Love the
thing.
tease.
Yeah,
Love the tease.
we gotta throw it out there, sprinkle it
Yeah,
out.
you
But
do.
Teasing.
I'm just very, very thankful to spend some time with you fine group of people on this Sunday afternoon. It's been a good day.
Likewise.
Thank you.
It's been wonderful having you here. Thank you so much for taking some time with us.
Yeah.
Of course.
Josh, Nate, where can people find you?
Nate, go for it.
I on all social channels at the Nate Pretzel, doing the things.
And you can find me anywhere. Josh Biddick, first and last name with the @ symbol before it, or however the social media device you're using wants you to be.
And you can find me at @greenriver07 on Twitter. But if you want to follow anybody, please search on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, Borderline Entertainment, on YouTube, on Twitch, podcast services. Thank you again so much, Nate, Josh, Brennan being on the show. If you want to continue to support, again, I want to say you can go to patreon.com/Borderline Entertainment, become a patron today so we can do this full time, make more content, because that's the dream. Like, that's what everybody wants to
Living
do.
the dream.
But until next time, be well, Borderline family. See ya.